Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning. I guess, first of all, I would like to talk about transportation and what does that mean. There's a bus that comes every morning to pick up my daughter for school, and she rides the bus home every day. She also has a service dog. I should warn you, she is a 155-pound St. Bernard. That's an interesting story, too. Anyways, they both ride the bus, and as you know, buses can be warm. Hers currently is registering at 80 degrees. As I said yesterday, she does suffer from epilepsy, and a trigger for her can be overheated. So if she gets heat exhaustion, it can trigger a seizure. Yesterday, she got off the bus. I got up to get the dog, and I checked the thermometer, and it was registering at 80 degrees, and she just looked miserable. You can always kind of tell, she's sitting here with her finger in her mouth and she's just got this look like, get me off this damn bus, Mom, let's go. As I said, her facial expressions, she doesn't need words. So I get her off the bus, we get in the house, and I had to give her her rescue medicine immediately. She was doing her legs, and something that she does with her legs is she will wrap the left leg around the right leg, kind of like this, and she does this motion with her legs. And what has happened in the past, from a previous injury to her artery in her leg, she was given a DVT, a deep vein thrombosis, while they were trying to insert a PICC line. She was in status at 3 months of age, which means she was seizing uncontrollably. The medications were not working. So they inserted a PICC line, missing the vein and just gouging the artery is what I was told. And when I walked into the room, that leg didn't look good. It looked like a cold dead fish. That's the only way I can describe it. It was gray. There was no life in it whatsoever, and it was her entire leg. And I just knew what that meant. And I laid over her and started sobbing. And I had a nurse. I should mention there was, 25 people in the room. And I had a nurse console me and say, oh, honey, she's okay. She's breathing. And I just looked at her and said, are you kidding me? With everything she has going on, she has to be able to have this leg. You can't take this from her. And I had the whole room crying at that point. But you can't, you can't say everything's going to be okay. So they drove her down to Ann Arbor. They wanted to fly her down. We were unable to fly because of the winds, the high winds. As I said, she was 3 months old, and she was born in December, so we live in Michigan. They raced us down to Ann Arbor, and they are actually preparing us to amputate the leg. It was that bad. They couldn't find any heartbeat. There was no pulse. There was no motion. There was nothing flowing through this leg. And while we were there, I met another family who, unfortunately, the same situation had occurred with their daughter, only it was both legs. And they were preparing them for a double amputation of both of her legs. And that was really hard for me because I was nice to them, but I couldn't keep in touch with them after the hospital. And like I said, yesterday, when we turn our backs on people, we don't realize what we're doing to them. And in a way, I felt bad for turning my back on them, but at the same time, I had my own situation to take care of. I had to trust that their family was going to be there to take care of them. And, there's that guilt factor that goes along with it, too. My child, so far, hadn't had to have her leg amputated. We were being prepared for it. They were going in for surgery. So that was really, really hard to deal with it at the same time as you're going through this. So, long story short, her leg, I'm telling you, that girl's got strength. She's got power. Her little leg, the veins and the arteries started reworking themselves through her leg for the blood flow. And there was starting to become a pulse, and it was very weak, but it was there. So then they started taking amputation off the table, and they started looking at her for skin grafting because The lower part of her leg from her knee to her ankle was black. It was dead skin. And so I was like, oh man, seriously, she's 3 months old. We have to do this. And, they're talking to me about where they can take it from. And she's just a tiny little thing. She was born at 6 pounds, 2 ounces. And she was failure to thrive right from the beginning. So without checking her medical records, she was probably right around 6 pounds still at 3 months of age. And her skin grew back. Her skin grew back. That child did not need no grafting whatsoever. There is something out there that when you have faith and you trust, you're answered. So back to transportation. You notice I will veer off quite a bit. There is quite a bit of history here. So she gets off the bus yesterday. I have to give her rescue medicine. I wasn't too concerned about a seizure. She didn't look at that point yet. She just looked uncomfortable. She was very anxious. She just was not happy. So I gave her 0.2 of her rescue medicine. She calmed down, but you could tell she was still just really, she just couldn't settle down. She spit up a couple times. It wasn't a full-on throwing up. It was spitting up her food. And she was dry heaving a little bit, so I just decided, I've had enough. It's time to file a civil rights violation because seriously, when you invite the supervisor and the bus team into her IEP, the bus team didn't show up, which I'm sorry, give me another bus team. But when the supervisor is invited to an IEP to explain why she needs the air conditioning on, and all of the tools that I have supplied the bus team with a portable fan, she has a cooling cloth. Are you kidding me? Offer her water. This is all common sense stuff, and yet her needs are not being met. They have been before with the previous bus team, so I know that this can be done, and it's done for other children. So why is it that my daughter is having such a hard time? It's not just her on that bus. There's a whole lot of kids. There's another one that's heat sensitive as well and can have seizures. The thing that people don't understand is, yeah, you may work with kids that have special needs. You get to go home. You get to drop them off at their house, and you get to leave. You're not in that house taking care of that child. You don't know that family dynamic. You have no idea what that child and what that family has to go through to be able to put them on the bus the next day. And then when the bus team is not in compliance with an IEP that is state and governed, what more am I supposed to do? I've gone to the supervisors. I've gone to the school. Her needs are not being met. I'm fed up. I've had enough. Back to the accident. The accident took a lot out of me. I was terrified to drive. It took a lot for me to be able to get back into a car. Like I said, I'm unable to work. My husband is a real estate agent, and while, yes, the market's booming, it's inundated with real estate agents. So yes, he does have closings, but unfortunately, they are kind of far and few between. So we do have an income. It's just on the smaller scale. We were unable to get another car, and because at this point, rather than turn around and use the money from my car that was totaled, we needed a van with a lift. There was no way that I could get another van with her in a wheelchair. I needed to get a van with a lift. We had gone as long as we could with me picking up, gosh, that thing's 120, 150 pounds wheelchair into my van, plus putting the dog in there, plus, she's total care. You have to carry her everywhere you go. You want to know what it's like to carry around a total care child? You go get a 10-pound bag of potatoes or those oranges that they sell, and you carry that, strap that over your shoulder, you carry that around. Then you want to add in the dynamic of her being alive and, like I said, having tone, as well as the hypotonia. You can be holding her and she goes off in one direction, and you have to react. Sorry, there's a dump truck going by. I'm outside. Anyway, sorry about that. We fortunately were given a 12-passenger van that I felt secure in, I felt safe in. Aside from a semi-truck hitting me, I was protected. And that was the only way that I was able to get back into a car and drive it again. And that took a lot. I had to face that fear every day of getting back into the car. It took a lot out of me. I mean, I had a concussion. I broke, yes, my left wrist. My right wrist was sprained as well. Thank God I didn't break both my wrists. Could you imagine? I already needed help getting dressed as it was. When you have so much going on, you expect the school and transportation, this is their job. This is their job. You don't have to monitor that. You take it for granted that they've got it covered. Well, like I said, the first bus team was great. And then, her aide got promoted and moved into the school, which I'm all for self-promotion. I want people to succeed. I hate losing them at the same time because they're so perfect for her. So we get a new bus aide, and all of a sudden, I'm meeting them, picking her up in parking lots, and it's like, wait a second, why am I doing this? The bus is not cooled off for her. In the wintertime, they can't keep her warm enough. It's, like I said, you have to balance her. In the wintertime here in Michigan, it gets extremely cold, and if she gets too cold, she can go into hypothermia. It's a balancing act. It sucks, but you got to do it. You signed up for that position, do it. So here we are, 2.5 years later, the same issues, the same bus team. It needs to stop, and it needs to change, and everybody needs to step up to the plate. Her IEP was July 11th, 2018. It is now August 15th, 2018. They've had ample time to get that situated, taken care of. It's not fair that my daughter has to come home and have such a rough night and, yes, have seizures because she's been overheated on that bus. It's time for them to step up and do their job. And you know what? It's time for me to file a civil rights violation. I'm tired of being taken for granted of, feeling like we're the little guys, getting stomped on, we have no voice. And I got to be that mom. I got to be that parent. It sucks, but who else is going to do it for us? I don't see anybody else stepping up, doing it for me or for her, so I got to do it. Well, I got that off my chest. I thank you for listening to me and all that craziness. We are in the process right now of cleaning out the basement and giving my husband a man cave, which we don't get out much. I have my friends, and he has his friends, and I want him, which he doesn't want to go out. Given the situation, it's like I said, it's a lot to handle. There has to be somebody here at all times, somebody responsible. We do have a 20-year-old son and a 13-year-old son, and they help out as much as they can, but at the same time, I have to have realistic expectations on them for being human and for having their own lives. So I don't expect too much out of them, but enough, and they do their part. So, my husband deserves a room for, him and his guy friends that he can have over. There's a pool table. We can set up a poker table. You can put the TV down there, and once a month, go out, come over and have fun and hang out. And you're in a safe environment. You're not going out. You're not on the roads. Everybody's having fun, and go home when you're done. So that's what we're going to go do today. We're going to go reorganize the basement. I should tell you, when we first moved in, this house belonged on that hoarding show. There was a little path into the man cave. That will be the man cave. You could only walk into that room about 15 feet. And I want to say it's about, oh goodness, like a 15 by 20 room. It's a pretty good sized room that was encased with boxes from floor to ceiling. and that was the entire basement. And there are 3 rooms that cover the basement area, and that is the smallest room of the other 2 rooms, or of the 3 rooms. So you can imagine, after 5 years, 3 dumpsters, we're still throwing stuff out. And the sad thing of it is it's all good stuff. The majority of it was good stuff. It's just there was so much of it. My mother-in-law entertained, quite a bit, and unfortunately, instead of just reusing what she had, she would go buy all brand new. So boxes upon boxes of decorations, and we were able to invite one of her friends over, and she took some of it, and she was able to get a little bit of money for that. But the majority of the stuff, unfortunately, we had to throw away or give away. We've given so much stuff away, and you kind of get to the point where you got to get rid of it, and that's the point where we're at after 5 years. We are just now able to unpack our own boxes after 5 years. My father-in-law passed away. My husband has left the house. We were in the position, unfortunately, where we needed to sell our house and move in. And this is what we moved into. It's a 2-story house, 2,000 square feet, and yeah, it's a hoarder's house. Lots of little treasures. So I hope everyone has a great day, has an awesome day, be kind, and always smile and love one another. Thank you.